Hey everybody, and welcome back to Reflecting Shakespeare TV. My name is Erika, and I'm a manager and facilitator for the Old Globe's Reflecting Shakespeare program, which is a transformative arts program that we bring to people experiencing incarceration. This video is designed to go inside while we cannot. So let's do this and bring on James and Niki, my co-hosts.
Hello, 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 hello.
Hey, here we are showing up, bringing Reflecting Shakespeare. My name is Niki. I'm a formerly incarcerated individual, and I've been working with the Old Globe now for a little bit over a year. So I'm super happy to be here still.
Yes. All right, Niki. So, hey, everyone. It's great to be here. My name is James. I'm a facilitator on the Reflecting Shakespeare program here at the Old Globe Theatre. But now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest for this week. Let's say hello to William.
Woo!
Yes. Hey, William. What's up, William? It's great to have you back, man. So thank you so much for being able to join us again. Can you remind the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are?
Hi, my name is William, Commissioner William Palmer. It's been an honor to be out here in society and be appointed to the San Francisco Sentencing Commission. It's like my life has gone full circle, where I fought to help the youth offender build SB 260 so that more youth offenders can have a meaningful release at freedom. And it's an honor to work with the San Francisco community and making it safer and making it more just for people in the prison and jail sector.
That's beautiful. Thank you, William. Thank you for that. All right, everyone, I'm just checking. It looks like we are all here, including those of you who are watching in with us. We're going to ask you to journal along with us during this program. So we invite you, if you're able to get something to write with at this moment.
All right, so you ready? We're about to dig in. Erika, let's make this happen.
All right, let's go for check-ins for the week. What are your challenges and triumphs? So folks watching, this is where we always start, so take stock with us. For those of us on screen, let's keep it lean. Let's go for it.
Ooh, I'll go. Okay, so my low is that I can get overwhelmed with things that I'm unfamiliar with. So it's tax season, people, and it created a lot of anxiety for me. I had a lot of complications last year because it was my first year doing it. So I noticed that has created a lot of hypervigilance in my life, right? But my high for the week, are you ready for it, people? I have been qualified to buy my own home. I received a loan. I have not even been home 2 years yet. So this is absolutely huge and amazing. So yes. William, what about you?
This couldn't come at a more perfect time. I have experienced high and low all at the same time. So I'm going to say it happened at one time. So I hope you can distinguish the two. I was invited to the board executive meeting where they have in-bank hearings to determine whether someone's parole date would be approved and finalized, as well as updating everyone about Henry Palmer 3 that the California Supreme Court had just made a ruling on my parole as it connects to my constitutional excessive punishment. And so while I was in this meeting, I was hearing these guys getting their dates approved and their family coming to testify in behalf of them and some opposition. And I was able to chime in and give some type of input on what that person is going through and why that person deserves his right to freedom. And at the same time, I had to face the guy, Commissioner Anderson, who denied me on my 10th board hearing 5 years, which was the impetus to all of my court battles. And to look at him face to face and in the eye and let him know that he was wrong and that I am succeeding in society, it was a bit much. I had a lot of anxiety as well as a lot of satisfaction being present and giving my expertise on why people should be paroled.
If that ain't the most amazing.
Wow, that's really just a whole, right? Coming together of many things there. Thank you, William, for that. Really appreciate it. All right. My low for the week is in what I thought was a really good move. I've been really attacking my health and wellness in the last week or so. But yesterday, I overdid my new weightlifting regime, and I have an injured elbow already. So I hurt that yesterday, or I overdid it a little bit. So that's kind of a bummer, but not really a biggie. So that's a little bit of a low. My high has happened right now, and I am being helped through this program by my dog, who is now currently sat on my feet and staring at me as we're making this happen. So I have two people, one in a furry outfit, making this happen right now. All right, Erika, over to you.
Whoa, I'm still reeling from William sharing. My low is, I feel like I'm just always like working on myself. I really do this program along with everyone. And I think my low is that I get hung up on negatives. Like this week I noticed something in my personality that I just haven't been able to shake, that I don't love so much. And, I just focus on it. So I don't know if anyone else feels that way about themselves, but man, when it's like that, it's rough. And my high is this week we delivered our first correspondence packets to Sentinella. So that whole program is getting off its feet. So I'm really excited about that. The team putting it together is amazing. And I cannot wait to start to get the responses back from inside.
All right, everyone, let's get ready to play and get ready to work together. Today's warm-up is going to be called My Name Is, and I Feel. It goes like this. I'm going to say my name and then let you know by using a word or sound, maybe a movement, how I feel right now. Once I've done mine, I'm going to invite you all to send it right back to me. I'm going to get us going on this one. All right. My name is James. And I feel, ow. All right, here we go, folks. 1, 2, 3.
My name is James.
William.
And I feel,
ow.
All right, Nikki, over to you.
All right. My name is Nikki, and I feel resilient.
All right, everyone. 1, 2, 3. My name is
Nikki, and I feel resilient.
All right, William, let's throw to you.
Hi, my name is William, and I feel
woo! Yeah. 1, 2, 3. My name is
William, and I feel
woo! Erika, over to you.
My name is Erika, and I feel whew.
1, 2, 3.
My name is Erika, and I feel
woo. And now it's your turn, everyone who's watching. Here we go. I'm going to count you down. We're going to watch and listen in. 1, 2, 3. Nice.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for playing along with us. Great job.
I'm William again. I'm back, and I'm all warmed up. Thank you for participating. And what I love about warm-ups is that it allows you to leave wherever you are and be transported into a whole new world that you can make your own. So thanks, everybody, for joining, and let's stay here.
Well, now we've warmed up our sense of play. Let's get into some work. For our series of Reflecting Shakespeare TV, we're going to look at Shakespeare's comedy, Much Ado About Nothing. And as always, our goal is to have fun with the story and then dig into how what's going on with the character relates to us right here, right now. So let's set up this story.
All right. Lots going on with our main characters. Everybody's hanging out at Leonardo's house, where his daughter Hero and his niece Beatrice live with him. Prince Don Pedro, head of the army, is visiting, and we've seen a lot of his two celebrated soldiers, Claudio and Benedict.
So Count Claudio is now set up to marry Hero. And Benedict and Beatrice have been trading insults and slamming each other with all this shade. But last episode, we saw Beatrice drop her defenses just a smidge and admit that in the past, Benedict broke her heart.
But today, we're going to focus on Prince Don Pedro's half-brother, Don John. Don John was born out of wedlock, and he's carrying some stigma around that. We're going to see him today with two other people. Maybe they're his followers, maybe they're his friends, and they are called Conrad and Baracchio.
All right, so let's get to it. I'll say who's going to play which part. William, if you would read Don John for us, and James, if you'd read Conrad, and Nikki, will you take Baracchio? Awesome. Can't wait. Take it away.
What the good year, my lord? Why are you thus out of measure sad?
There is no measure in the occasion that breeds. Therefore, the sadness is without limit.
You should hear reason.
I cannot hide what I am. I must be sad when I have cause, and smile at no man's jest. Eat when I have stomach, and wait for no man's leisure. Sleep when I am drowsy, and tend to no man's business. Laugh when I am merry, and claw no man in his humor.
Yea, but you must not make the full show of this. You have of late stood against your brother, and he hath taken you newly into his grace.
I had rather be a canker in the hedge than a rose in his grace. Though I cannot be said to be a flattering, honest man, it must not be denied. But I am a plain villain. I am trusted with a muzzle and enfranchised with a claw. Therefore I have decreed not to sing in my cage. If I had my mouth, I would bite. If I had my liberty, I would do my liking. In the meantime, let me be that I am, and seek not to alter me. Who comes here? What news, Baracchio?
I came yonder from a great supper. The prince, your brother, is royally entertained by Leonato, and I can give you intelligence of an intended marriage.
Will it serve for any model to build mischief on?
Marry, it is your brother's right hand.
Who? The most exquisite Claudio?
Even he.
A proper squire. And who? Which way looks he?
Marry on Hero, the daughter and heir of Leonato.
A very forward march chick. How came you to this?
As I was smoking a musty room, comes me the prince and Claudio, hand in hand in sad conference. I whipped me behind the arras, and there heard it agreed upon that the prince should woo Hero for himself, and having obtained her, give her to Count Claudio.
Come, let us thither. This may prove food to my displeasure. If I can cross him any way, I will bless myself every way. You are both sure and will assist me?
To the death, my lord.
Let us to the great supper.
Woo! Excellent. That was so good. So we're just going to pause for a moment, make sure we've got the facts about Don John that the scene lays out. So first, he was in this bad books with his bro, the prince, and that was just until recently.
Yeah, but however, he feels like he doesn't have his liberty. Oof. And he feels muzzled.
He also states that he is a plain villain, and he's not going to sing in his cage.
The moment he hears about Claudio's wedding, he's curious if there's a way to turn that into mischief.
Awesome. All right, so let's get back to the story. William is going to continue as Don John, and Nikki is Baracchio.
It is so. The Count Claudio shall marry the daughter of Leonato.
Yea, my lord. But I can cross it.
Any bar, any cross, any impediment will be medicinable to me. I am sick in displeasure to him. How canst thou cross this marriage?
Not honestly, my lord, but so covertly that no dishonesty shall appear in me.
Show me briefly how.
I think I told your lordship a year since how much I am in favor of Margaret, the waiting gentlewoman of Hero.
I remember.
I can, at any unseasonable instant of the night, appear her to look out at her lady's chamber window.
What life is in that to be the death of this marriage?
Find me a meet hour to draw Don Pedro and the Count Claudio alone. Tell them that you know that Hero loves me. They will scarcely believe this without trial. Offer them instances which shall bear no less likelihood than to see me at her chamber window. Hear me call Margaret Hero. Hear Margaret term me Claudio. And bring them to see this the very night before the intended wedding? And there shall appear such seemingly truth of Hero's disloyalty that jealousy shall be called assurance and all the preparation overthrown.
Throw this to what adverse issue it can, and I will put it into practice. Be cunning in the working this, and thy fee is 1,000 ducats.
Ooh, be you constant in the accusation, and my cunning shall not shame me.
Oh, yes. Or should I say, oh, no. All right, so we're going to stop and unpack this scene.
All right, so Baracchio is going to mess up Claudio and Hero's wedding.
Yep, the plan's to make it look like Hero's already cheating on him.
Baracchio, which is me, unfortunately, will get Hero's maid Margaret to dress as Hero, and Baracchio will go flirt with her at the night at Hero's window. Ugh, I'm so ashamed of myself. He'll do this with witnesses, and everyone will think that Hero is dating Baracchio.
And Don John is going to pay Baracchio 1,000 ducats for this.
Right? Like he offers that at the end. I think Baracchio was going to do it for free. All right. So
right? That makes me even feel worse.
All right. So there's a lot going on here. We got to talk about the motives and about what's going on with the personality. So I'm going to turn it to William first. William, what stands out to you most from reading those two short scenes?
Oh, man. I may not like this, but I do. I'm a lot like my character. I am who I am. I show up how I show up, and I make no apologies. And that could be refreshing at times, but if you have sinister intent, then oof. But love is tricky, and even since I've been out, it's something that is uniquely challenging for me. Is adjusting to relationships. So always relationships are tricky.
Mm. And are you meaning here like his relationship with his brother?
Relationship with his brother and the romance, sabotage that. Even when you're in a relationship, you never know what's the outside forces that are coming. So that makes it hard for you to be in relationships. But yeah, the relationship between his brother and then we trying to destroy a relationship. Yeah.
I'm also curious to hear what you thought about reading because you read it so well. Those lines about being muzzled and will not sing in a cage, and there was also that line about I'd rather be a parasite in the hedge than be a rose in my brother's grace. What do you think's driving that, or how did that resonate for you?
Again, it's very personal. When I was doing time, I was definitely the odd man out in almost every situation. So my background and culture made me like bad and bougie, where I was around a lot of people that were from the streets or gang activity, and that we just did not identify. And even with the correctional officers, I was like, you may be doing your job, but your job is to hurt me. And so I would rather be that canker than that rose. And I always caused mischief. I was always the one speaking up. I was always the rebel rouser or whatever you want to call. And I had good intentions, but it always caused adverse effects. I collected more 115s in my time than probably anybody else. So yeah, I identify with that a lot.
All right, Niki, what's standing out for you in those two scenes?
The thing that's just standing out is how Baracchio is just going above and beyond to place himself in a situation that's going to help destroy somebody's life, and break somebody's soul and shred somebody down. And it's like, initially, and like you said, Erika, like initially he was going to do it for free, and now he's even going to get paid to do it. And it's like, I think of all of the different times, right, where unbeknownst maybe even to myself or whatever, where, you know, you've had certain conversations, or I've had certain conversations, and it's like, how did that impact somebody? Did I perpetuate that? Did I create that? Did I amplify that? And now, like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, God, there's going to be so many people that are affected by this scheme. And I'm thinking, what is the motivator? Like, what is the payoff behind that? What's fueling him so fiercely, right? And so just adamantly stuck on, but I got this plan, and I'm even going to involve Margaret, and I'm even going to make her pretend like she's hero. Like, you know, just the depths and the means that he went to go above and beyond to create this catastrophe for Don John. Is it to get in his good graces? Is it to provide Don John with some false sense of relief? Like, what is going on? But I ultimately, what always comes back to me, and what stands out to me more than anything, is just by him and being so adamant about this plot, the people and the lives and the devastation that it's, and the chaos that it's going to create and it's going to impact. And, you know, here he is, he's just all jolly, hiding behind a curtain, getting some information. And now he's getting ready to really just kind of put it out there. And I don't even know what's to come. But what I do know is just scheming something to this degree creates a lot of devastation. So that's what's standing out to me right now.
Right.
Hey, James, what about you?
So I was thinking about Conrad and Braccio and thinking about relationships. And when do you know if you're a follower and what those relationships are? And when do you know you're in a friendship? And those things are maybe hard to pin down, but when maybe that's like an internal thing when you really know the difference. And do all parties consider those things the same? You know, do you consider yourself someone's friend, but they might view you as a follower, or vice versa? So that those relationships. Now I was thinking about Don John and how he carries this negative label from that time, which I think still sometimes it seemed like that today, that he was born illegitimate, right? Is that term is still sometimes used, and how he carries that or wears that, or is he even forced to have this stigma around that, and how that might shape his view of the world potentially, and how other people's knowledge of that shapes their view of him. So how information or what you might know about someone or think you might know about someone, how that changes how we may perceive them, either in like a reality, and it might change that person. It might either internally or externally really shape how they might be.
I think you're spot on there, James. There's something about the two Dons that we've got, right? Don Pedro, who's the prince, who a couple episodes back we were talking about, like, he meddles for good. Even, you know, Ron and Sammy from Shakespeare Behind Bars, they're like, who is your Don Pedro? Who's that guy that like had influence, that worked that influence for your benefit? And now we've got literally his bastard brother, and they use the word bastard in the literal sense in terms of born out of wedlock. He's called that all the time through this play, using his influence for a negative result, right? And I think we might have these two kind of forces in the play, and I guess that's a little bit of like metaphorically, literally thinking. But I love what you're thinking about. You know, if someone's being told a certain narrative about themselves all their lives, it's easier to live up to that narrative, even if it's a negative one.
Well, I don't know that
fight against it. Yeah.
I don't know that it's just about living up to that. I think it can become the narrative. Like maybe it becomes the story, right? If that's the information you have and you've experienced, almost like, how can it not be, right?
Yeah, it's so true. It's like when we believe whatever it is that we believe about ourselves, right, and it resonates as the truth, and that becomes the place that we function from. And ultimately, I always say that, you know, like when we're functioning from that place, ultimately, it's not just us that's creating suffering for ourselves. It's us creating suffering for others, especially when it's either a distorted view, a harmful view, some type of pain, some type of unresolved anger, or whatever that might be, or even the stigma of feeling less than, feeling inadequate, feeling inferior, feeling a lack of sense of belonging, and ultimately how we end up functioning from that place in everything that we do in society, in the world, in our relationships, and also too how it comes back to us like in a mirror of, oh, well, this is how your actions are and how you're behaving and what you're doing. It all is a mirror reflection, a very clear and crystal clear reflection of what is your value. For me, I've been able to see that through functioning in life. It's like when I was doing and being and feeling that way about myself, right? And how my actions ended up happening. That's ultimately, I can look in the mirror and be like, oh, that was really how you felt about yourself. That was really what you believed about yourself. And this is as a result of that, and then when things started changing in a different light, and my behaviors and my actions, because my beliefs about myself had changed, then ultimately so did my interactions, so did my relationships, so did my worldview, so did the place that I functioned from was just drastically different, So definitely knowing that those core issues are a strong canker, basically, exactly like you said, they're a canker, and it comes out in our actions a lot of the times. Or for me personally, I've definitely been able to be exposed to my truth and be able to know what it is and see it for exactly what it is.
Let's talk about Baracchio again for a second, about that kind of follower thing that he's looking to get in Don John's good graces. I'm curious to hear from William if that dynamic speaks to you in any way, in like maybe what you've observed inside.
Oh, without a doubt. And so one man's villain is another man's hero. And so when we were in that space inside, I used to always see these people who would follow behind the guy who was selling the illegal weed on the yard, or the guy who was the biggest, baddest shot caller. And I knew that those guys that were following, most of them were not his friends. They were there for the protection. They were there for the crumbs. They were there for the recognition of being a part of that. And so I was always adversely against that. So that's why I never joined a gang, whether inside or out, because I truly value friendships. And if you're not truly my friend, I would rather you be at a distance. And I knew I was the villain a lot of the times because I was not somebody's hero. I was not somebody's prototype prisoner inside of CDCR. And it was only until I started to understand who I was and that I am somebody's villain as well as somebody's hero, I was able to step in my true place to pursue justice and freedom and equality. And I knew that that would bring on haters as well as supporters. And it didn't bother me at that point because I knew what my purpose was. And so, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
It did. I was like, so I was going, whoo, I knew I was going to bring some gold. Yes. That's awesome. And the only other thing I wanted to mention, Niki, I was thinking about what you said about Baracchio's making Margaret like get in this plan. And I had this thought that maybe Baracchio is capitalizing on something. This is total like actor backstory stuff. But like, for all I know, Margaret and Baracchio are planning a saucy role play date, where she's like, let me get into Hero's clothes. And he's like, right, I'll meet you at the window. But Baracchio's like, I can capitalize on that and turn that, it might not have been forcing her in. It might have been like taking something to use it in another way. Because why would Margaret want to do that? I mean, we don't have.
Well, then it goes back to her too. It goes back to her like willing to do something for somebody else to score points, right? Maybe even Baracchio making the suggestion so that they can have some type of, I've realized in relationships, people are willing to do extra, right? Just to have that one extra niche, like, oh, I never did that with this person, or this is new, this is different. So this is our thing that makes us even that much more connected, and having the willingness to do that. Like, oh, okay, babe, you want me to do that? Okay. And this is that one thing different. This is the one thing that's going to build that stronger connection for Margaret and for Baracchio. Maybe, like you said, it's backstage. Who knows what Shakespeare was really thinking when he had done that, but really, like, just that's what I think. I think of doing something different with a relationship and making it a little bit more solidified, making the bond a little bit stronger. And you do that by doing things that are a little bit different than the norm. If that
It's
makes
all
sense.
good stuff. Man, we still got another scene to read, so let's jump to our quick write.
All right, and now we're going to get into our quick write. Destruction to others and self is pain unresolved, not just destructive for ourselves, but also for others. The quick write is, when I have had pain, I showed it by, others felt it as, I believed it helped me because, but the aftermath was. And if you didn't get enough time to write that down, we'll show it again at the end of the program.
Okay, so we're going back to the play, and William is going to continue as Don John. James is going to change character. He's going to head up as Don Pedro, Don John's half-brother. And I'm going to read Count Claudio.
My lord and brother, God save you.
Good den, brother.
If your leisure serve, I will speak with you.
In private.
If it pleases you. Yet Count Claudio may hear, for what I would speak of concerns him.
What's the matter?
Means your lordship to be married tomorrow?
You know he does.
I know not that when he knows what I know.
If there be any impediment, I pray you discover it.
You may think I love you not. Let that appear hereafter, and aim better at me by that I now will manifest. For my brother, I think he holds you well, and in dearness of heart hath helped to effect your ensuing marriage. Surely suit ill spent and labor ill bestowed.
Why? What's the matter?
I came hither to tell you, and circumstances shortened, for she has been too long of talking of the lady and disloyal.
Who, Hero?
Even she, Leonato's hero, your hero, every man's hero.
Disloyal?
The word is too good to paint out her wickedness. I could say she was worse. Think you of a worse title, and I will fit her to it. Wonder not till further warrant. Go but with me tonight. You shall see her chamber window entered, even the night before her wedding day. If you love her then, tomorrow wed her. But it would be better fit your honor to change your mind.
May this be so?
I will not think it.
If you dare not trust that you see, confess not that you know. If you will follow me, I will show you enough. And when you have seen more and heard more, proceed accordingly.
If I see anything tonight why I should not marry her tomorrow in the congregation, where I should wed, there will I shame her.
And as I wooed for thee to obtain her, I will join with thee to disgrace her.
And I will disparage her no further till you are my witnesses. Bear it coldly, but till tonight, and let the issue show itself.
This makes me so mad. Oh my God. Oh.
All right, so then let's run right into it. Nikki, why does it make you mad? Let's unpack the scene. And Nikki, I'm going to throw this to you. So, like, what went down there? What's making you mad?
Well, basically, Don John baits Don Pedro and Claudio into witnessing a supposed disloyal hero. But then Don Pedro doesn't seem to believe it, but because he worked to woo Hero to get her romantically involved with Claudio, he seems quick to want to disparage her. Like if what Don John's saying is true. And I think the thing that just upsets me, like it just, one, unbeknownst to her, then they're just talking just like disloyal's not even a strong enough word for this woman who has no idea what's even being plotted against her right now. And the fact that they want to shame and humiliate her. And I know for me, like that was one of my biggest triggers, was to be embarrassed or to feel that shame externally. And it's just like, my heart just hurts for her because it's like I said, it's just unbeknownst to her. And here it is. She's doing cartwheels and lilies and sunflowers and all happy and elated about what's getting ready to happen for her life tomorrow. And we have these individuals that are just plotting to destroy and shred, and it doesn't even have anything to do with her. It has to do with the relationship between the brothers and his unresolved issues and his resentments or the place that he's functioning from that's creating this.
How about you, William? What's this scene provoking you?
Oh man, you probably was reading my face while I was thinking about her. When I got out, I fell in love with a woman, and we were all friends. We were in a friend group, and so the friendship turned romantic. And unbeknownst to me at first, the women talked among themselves about me, and she had their permission to be open to this. And once my friendship started to fade from them because my attention was on her, I think they kind of started to fill her ears with toxic advice, and that just disrupted the relationship. And me being fresh out, not really understanding the nuances of relationships, I became toxic myself, and the relationship dissolved. And so it hurts, it's a lesson learned, but I wish I could go back and do it all over again. But it just shows that even passively, you can be doing some harm or intentionally try to show that the relationship is not what it appears to be.
James, have you got some thoughts going on there?
Yeah, well, I was just thinking, just listening to like the power of words, right? And how we can be in a billion circumstances, be persuaded to hear something, right? Just by use of language. Like Don John is brilliantly written to kind of say, kind of like, well, I have this information and, you can hear it if you want to, and maybe you should hear it, right? He kind of like, he's really good at like getting that, like he has that skill set, like he's learned it, right? How to do that. And then I was thinking about, the power of language, how we tell a story, what the reason is for telling it, right? And then how you just all those tactics, right? Like he kind of lures them in kind of gently at first, oh, it's just a word. I just want a word in private, and then builds and builds and builds that story from, I just want a word with you about the wedding that's coming up to, what I'm going to do? I'm going to destroy that person's life. But the real reason I'm destroying that person's life is to get at you, and particularly you, right? And so just thinking about, I guess, damage and collateral damage, but all of that coming about from how we use words in particular, in this case, to make that happen, and motivations behind choices of words, right?
Whew, that James, you're talking about the power of words here, and it's so strong. It's making me think about how we learned about how the word nothing in the title, Much Ado About Nothing, was pronounced differently in Shakespeare's time. And so it had a double entendre with noting, like overhearing. And
right.
and so if this whole play is, there's a big drama over hearing things, here's another way, like dropping something in someone's ear in a special way. And Don John is a master manipulator. The funny thing is that Don Pedro is also a master manipulator, but we're seeing next week he's always trying to have a good effect. They're kind of the two sides of this tactic, this manipulative coin. And at this time, if Don John's scheme works, Claudio will be heartbroken, Don Pedro will be made to look a fool, but it is Hero.
Oh, she gets destroyed.
The biggest effect.
Well, that's the thing that made me so mad. It's like, here it is, that she's not even being considered, and she's the one that's going to unfortunately reap all of the consequences of this plot.
I think we also have to look is the part of people listening to gossip. Like we have to check ourselves, and when we're talking about somebody else's life, we don't really know what they're going through. We don't know what their triggers are, what their trauma has been, what their relationships really is behind closed doors, So sometimes if in a relationship, you have to let that play out itself. And if it's not like immediate danger where someone's getting beat on or, some real violent things are happening, it is important for us to step back and allow them to play their relationship out and not listen to gossip and these words of negativity. Even if you're right when you butt in, if you're the impetus in causing that heartbreak and that relationship to break up, you're still the villain.
Mm.
Recently, Nikki, I think it was in the last episode or an episode before, you were talking so beautifully about payoffs, about payoff our behavior, and so it's so great to have William here. I don't know, William, what do you think is Don John's payoff, for dropping this?
Mm, that's a good question. Don John's payoff could be to just show, like, even in my illegitimate stage, I'm as equal or better than my brother. Like he is trying to elevate himself on the destruction of others. And we all know that that is a recipe for failure. You can't sustain that. And it was only when I began to love myself, I was able to love others. And then I became on an equal status with whether they were correctional officers, wardens, judges, all the people that I had been adversaries against. When I loved myself and then loved them, I didn't see any disparage of standing. And they would look at me as like, you have the audacity or the gall to think that you're like me or we're on the same. I was like, yeah. And it's only because we're human, not because I've done something wrong and you haven't. It's because we're human and we have the power of forgiveness, of unifying for a purpose of humanity, of loving loving one another, and the most important, healing together.
So with that said, William, what would you say to someone who hasn't really started that process yet?
It took me it took me 45 years to get to that point. So I never questioned whether somebody's ready or not, or that they will be able to get ready. It's just a matter of when do you hit rock bottom in self-hate. Just like an addict, it's rock bottom in his or her substance abuse. In self-hate, you have to hit a rock bottom and say, you know what? I can't go any lower in hating myself. It's time that I love myself. And what does that look like? And so for me, it was being a part of Man Up, which stands for making rational decisions, acting with precision, never giving up that position, uplifting myself, my family, and community with positive living. And so we were able to define what manhood looks like, what love looks like, what integrity looks like. And then when you go out and test these things and you start to incorporate these attributes into your life, you start to make that transition from immaturity to maturity, and you begin to understand what all of that means by practicing it in your life. So I wish for the guys inside, if there was a message that I could send to the guys inside and the girls, is that in order to help those who are out here trying to help us be free, we first got to help ourselves and be free within, and stop giving the reasons of why you should be locked up. Make that change. And it'll come. And if it don't, patience. I have patience. I love you enough to have patience with you.
Mm.
Whoa. All right. I can't think of a better segue into our reflection, so I'm going to hand it over to Nikki.
All right. Well, that was some good stuff right there. So with that being said, here's the reflection questions that we want to take a look at and explore. How have you ever been involved in a falsehood, fabricated plot, or dishonest rumor? What was the payoff? What was the intended and unintended damage caused? When has something about you been spread around that was not true? How did that make you feel? And how did it resolve? We'll repeat the writing prompts on the screen at the end of the program if you didn't get enough time to write it all down.
All right, everyone. Well, that was awesome. Guess what? That is all for this episode. It was so awful.
That was wow, that was really something. That's quite the scene to respond to. It's quite the scene. Wow. All right. So let's wind this up like we always do. We're going to do our one-word checkout where we're going to go around the group and everyone watching just to share one word of how we're feeling at the end of this time together. Niki, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Freedom.
Inspired.
Self-awareness.
Peaceful.
And everyone watching? Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And so what we'll do now too is we will close out like we close out everywhere that we touch down with all of our magic. We'll do a 1, 2, 3, and we'll clap on that fourth beat. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I tell you, we're masters at it. Masters.
All right. Thanks
Bye,
for watching,
everyone.
everyone.
All right. Bye.